Yep. All right, thanks for watching the Bible in Plain View, where our job here is to help you understand your Bible a little better than you already do. So this class is called God Rules in the Kingdom of Men, because for the past few weeks, everybody's been focused on the election and who's going to run the country, policies, things of that nature, in which when you really look at the grand scheme of it all, you look at both candidates, both of them lying to you first and foremost. And the second thing is, whoever's supposed to be in office, they're going to be there, regardless of how we feel, our votes and whatnot. And understand that God's the one who, again, rules in the kingdom of man. So we're going to see what the Bible says in regards to these kings who God sets up to do their job, whatever God has them to do. So we're going to start in Colossians chapter 1. Colossians chapter 1. And what we're going to look at here is the Lord created all things. We're going to see that he uses them to whatever purpose that he deems necessary. So Colossians 1, verse 14 through 16. Go ahead.
In whom we have redemption through his blood, even the forgiveness of sins, who is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of every creature.
Go ahead.
For by him were all things created.
So we're talking about Jesus here. That's why it says through him we have redemption through his blood, to be justified in the eyes of the Father, who is the image of the invisible God. That's why when you look at it, when the Lord said, me and my Father are one, he represented the Father. But we're here for verse 16. For by him were all things created. We understand that it was the Son who was in Genesis, who created light and saw that it was good. That created man and saw that was good. And put the moon, stars, and the firmament. That was the Lord. For by him were all things created, such are what?
That are in heaven and that are in earth.
And what else?
Visible and invisible.
So things that are in heaven, things that are in earth, God created all that. Whether it's things that we can see, that are visible, the things that are invisible that we can't see. What else?
Whether they be thrones.
Whether they be thrones. And what else?
Or dominions.
And what else?
Or principalities. Or powers.
Right.
All things were created by him and for him.
So it says thrones, dominions, principalities, and powers. God created, they were created by him and for him. So you look at what we so-call a throne, right? Or a kingship or a kingdom. We focus on the man behind it, or in some cases, the woman behind it, but God's the one who set that up. So when you look at, your Mussolinis, your Hitlers, your presidents, your emperors, your empresses, whoever runs these grand countries, the Lord's the one who set that up. And we're going to look at some examples as well. For by him were all things created that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or power. All things were created by him and for him. Let's go to Daniel 4. And it's been fascinating just to watch my coworkers up in arms about the election, and people tuning in to TVs and Facebook posts and social media has made everybody a professional politician. Everybody know everything and whatnot. It's just been funny to watch. But at the same time, just being able to rest easy, not worrying about who necessarily wins. Like I said, both of them lying. And both of them have an agenda that it's not good for us when it's all said and done. So Daniel 4 and verse 17, because here, Nebuchadnezzar is going to get a vision about this tree that's representative of his kingdom. Huge tree, large, amazing. Things are coming to nest under it. It's nourished pretty well. And then it gets taken down, which represents Nebuchadnezzar. And if he doesn't humble himself unto the Lord is going to bring his kingdom down. And Nebuchadnezzar, he didn't take heed to the warning. So Daniel 4 and verse 17. Go ahead.
This matter is by the decree of the watchers, and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men.
So it says the Most High, he's the one that rules in the kingdom of men, and what does he do with it?
And giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the basis of men.
So man, look, he said he gave it to whoever he will. So if he wanted to give it to Kanye West, guess what? That's what he would do if the Lord saw that was the move to do. If he wanted to give it to Trump, he'd do that. If he wanted to give it to Biden, he'll do that. It don't matter who it is. It says this is the matter is by the decree of the watchers and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the basis of men. Skip down to verse 30 and read that.
The king spake and said, Is not this great Babylon that I have built for the house of the kingdom by the might of my power and for the honor of my majesty?
So now Nebuchadnezzar, he walks into his palace. He starts gandering at it like this is something that he did on his own power. And history tells you, he came into Babylon. He added about 2 acres onto it, built some of the greatest sites on it, the Hanging Garden, the Ishtar Gates and whatnot. So it was a nice looking place, revered by history as a very beautiful palace at one time. But in his mind, he did that himself. Didn't give no power unto the Lord. Keep going.
And they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field. They shall make
verse 30. I'm sorry.
Verse 30?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. The king spake and said, Is not this great Babylon that I have built for the house of the kingdom by the might of my power and for the honor of my majesty? While the word was in the king's mouth, there fell a voice from heaven saying, O King Nebuchadnezzar, to thee it is spoken, the kingdom is departed from thee.
The Lord already told you, man, he'll set up kingdoms, he'll take away kingdoms, right? In this case, he told Nebuchadnezzar, the kingdom is departed from you. And when you look at Jeremiah, he was the one saying, Nebuchadnezzar is going to come tear up Israel. Then he goes on to say, those who don't put their yoke under the king of Babylon, the Lord is going to deal with them. What else? Verse 31.
31.
Yeah.
While the word was in the king's mouth, there fell a voice from heaven saying, O King Nebuchadnezzar, to thee it is spoken, the kingdom is departed from thee.
Go ahead.
And they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field. They shall make thee to eat grass as oxen, and 7 times shall pass over thee, until thou know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will.
And the thing about it was Nebuchadnezzar had a warning. If you do this, this is going to happen. How many of us would love for the Lord to come in, hey, look, you married that girl, life's going to be hell for you. Oh, thank you, Lord, I appreciate that. Or if you go out tonight, man, somebody's going to start shooting, you don't want to stay at the house. Yeah, I'm definitely going to stay at the crib. Like, how many of us would love to have that warning? Nebuchadnezzar got that warning, and he didn't take heed to that. Verse 34.
And at the end of the days, I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted up mine eyes unto heaven, and mine understanding returned unto me. And I blessed the Most High, and I praised and honored him that liveth forever, whose dominion is an everlasting dominion, and his kingdom is from generation to generation.
And, we have a lot of people who are in power over countries or continents and whatnot, but you're familiar for where you live. So in our case, we're familiar with the presidents, the governors, and stuff like that. And when you look at our current president now, pretty puffed up, pretty prideful, right? And I don't really know much about Biden. I'm not really a politics individual, but I can see that ain't none of them about to come here and do the will of the Lord. That I can guarantee. Go ahead.
35. And all the inhabitants of the earth are reputed as nothing, and he doeth according to his will in the army of heaven, and among the inhabitants of the earth. And none can stay his hand, or say unto him, What doest thou?
So, man, the Lord going to do what he want to do, and will do what he wants to do. And myself, this brother right here, no one in this room going to turn around and question the Lord. It's going to happen, regardless how you feel about it. Keep going.
At the same time, my reason returned unto me, and for the glory of my kingdom, mine honor and brightness returned unto me. And my counselors and my Lord sought unto me, and I was established in my kingdom, and excellent majesty was added unto me.
So what Nebuchadnezzar understand after all this, the 7 years, what did he find out?
Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and extol and honor the King of heaven.
Who does what?
All his works are true, and his ways judgment, and those that walk in pride he is able to abase.
So at the end of all this, Nebuchadnezzar understood, one, that the Lord ruled in the kingdom of men, and he's able to abase those who are proud. And I'm pretty sure if the Lord wanted to put his hand on the rulers that we have now and abase them, he would get the point across. Let's go to Proverbs 21. Proverbs 21. Me and one of my coworkers, we was having this talk the other day, and I was like, I'm not about to go put no ballot in, because I understand. Proverbs 21 and verse 1. Proverbs 21, verse 1. Go ahead.
The king's heart is in the hand of the
So
Lord.
it says the king's heart or the king's mind is in the hand of the Lord. So the Lord want this man to be a righteous king. That's what it is. If the Lord want him to do some stuff or some dirt, the Lord going to make that happen. It says the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. And what does the Lord do with that heart?
As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will.
So it says like water, the Lord, he can turn the king's heart wheresoever he will. And people like to, it's been a rough 4 years for a lot of people, you know. People like to say, racism just came out of nowhere. It ain't came out of nowhere. People just stopped hiding it. You know, more and more open about it. Or this happened, this happened. You know, Donald Trump did this, Obama did that. But they did exactly what they were supposed to do. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. So whatever the Lord decides or have these people who we call kings or thrones or dominions, that's what they were supposed to do. Everything has a purpose. Let's go to Exodus 7 and get an example. Let's go to Exodus 7. We'll get an example of what the Lord means by that. I wish we had more time, but a good example would be with King Ahab. He wanted to go up to Ramoth Gilead after he already got the prophecy. If he goes, he's going to die. They were having that conversation. They said, man, look, I'm going to be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. And they taught Ahab up and going, and he ended up dying. So Exodus 7 and verse 1 through 5. Exodus 7 verses 1 through 5. Because the Lord is getting ready to deliver Israel from under the hand of Pharaoh, and he's preparing Moses and Aaron. Go ahead with verse 1.
And the Lord said unto Moses, See, I have made thee a god to Pharaoh, and Aaron thy brother shall be thy prophet.
Go ahead.
Thou shalt speak all that I command thee, and Aaron their brother shall speak unto Pharaoh, that he send the children of Israel out of his land.
The Pharaoh, he's the king of Egypt at this time. He's the king of Egypt, being the biggest power of the world at this particular time. Go ahead.
And I will harden Pharaoh's heart.
The Lord said he's going to do what?
Harden Pharaoh's heart.
So he's saying, I'm the one who's going to harden Pharaoh's heart. You've been beating down the children of Israel. You've been mistreating them. This is not going to go unpunished. But he said, I will harden Pharaoh's heart. Then he do what?
And multiply my signs and my wonders in the land of Egypt.
And what?
But Pharaoh shall not hearken unto
So
you.
man, even though Pharaoh is seeing the power of God in his face, the Lord said, I'm going to harden his heart, that he's not going to let the people go. What else?
But Pharaoh shall not hearken unto you, that I may lay my hand upon Egypt, and bring forth mine armies. And
Man, look, I'm going to harden his heart, he ain't going to listen, and then I'm going to bring my armies upon him. Go ahead.
and my people, the children of Israel, out of the land of Egypt by great judgments.
What else?
And the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord, when I stretch forth mine hand upon Egypt, and bring out the children of Israel from among them.
What else?
And Moses and Aaron did as the Lord commanded them. So did they.
So they did what the Lord commanded them to do. But we see an example here. The Lord said, I'm going to harden Pharaoh's heart. It's saying we can harden any ruler's heart that they have. I'm pretty sure it wasn't no coincidence or random chance that Hitler did what he did. That was orchestrated in the spiritual realm, somehow, some way. Let's get another example. Let's go to 1 Samuel 15. 1 Samuel 15. And let's start at verse 1. 1 Samuel 15 and verse 1. Go ahead.
Samuel also said unto Saul, the Lord sent me to anoint thee to be king over his people, over Israel. Now therefore hearken thou unto the voice of the words of the Lord.
So now, before we get to this point, Israel had Jesus, or the Lord, serving as their king. The Lord's whooping down nation upon nation, clearing land, providing everything that Israel needed. But then we got to peeking into other nations, and we saw that they had kings. So guess what? We want a king too. Lord, make us a king. They told Samuel, no, get us a king. Samuel, he was upset about it. And the Lord told him, man, look, it's not you they're rejecting me. So having said all that, the Lord did exactly what they asked him to do. He put a king over them, King Saul, the very first king over Israel. And we see that it says the Lord is the one who anointed Saul to be king. And that's why David was blatant. It was like, man, look, I'm not going to harm the Lord's anointed, because David understood that God was the one that set Saul up. Go ahead in verse 2.
Thus saith the Lord of hosts, I remember that which Amalek did to Israel, how he laid wait for him in the way when he came up from Egypt. Now go and smite Amalek and utterly destroy all that they have, and spare them not, but slay both man and woman, infant and suckling, ox and sheep, camel and ass.
So the Lord told him, man, look, I remember what Amalek did. Now it's time for retribution. You gonna go to the Amalekites and kill some things.
All things.
The ugly stuff.
All things.
He
everything.
said kill everything. But Cat, would you say everything? Everything. Now go and smite Amalek and utterly destroy all they have, and spare them not, but slay both man, woman, infant, suckling, ox, sheep, camel, and ass. So the Lord didn't give no specifications. Kill everything unless it looks like this, or kill everything unless it's this age. It didn't matter. All of it had to go. So Saul should have understood the commandment the Lord put forth. And what happens is Saul didn't do that. First of all, he kept the king alive. If you're gonna kill anybody first, you gotta kill the king. If you're gonna go destroy Amalek, so he kept the king alive, kept the best of the stuff, the animals and whatnot. So he disobeyed the Lord, and then told a bold-faced lie to Samuel. I mean, I did exactly what the Lord told me to do. While Samuel heard sheep in the background, right? So he was lying. Skip down to verse 18 and read that.
And the Lord sent thee on a journey, and said, Go and utterly destroy the sinners, the Amalekites, and fight against them until they be consumed. Wherefore then didst thou not obey the voice of the Lord, but didst fly upon the spoil, and didst evil in the sight of the Lord.
And so one thing we just know, as one of my teachers who died said, learning something. Man, look, this should show you right here. But the Lord gives you a commandment, and the Lord is detailed enough that you don't have to question anything. You just do what's presented to you. And the second learning piece from that is you can't do stuff your own way. Matter of fact, and a good example for that is when when Levites carried the Ark of the Covenant, the Lord said you carry it the staves, right? Put the staves in it, you put it in the little holes that they have, and you tote the Ark. The Levites do that. King David, as righteous as he was, he tried to do it his own way, put it on the cart, right? And mess around and got others killed, trying to do stuff his own way. Skip down to verse, did we read 20?
No,
Read verse 20.
Verse 20. And Saul said unto Samuel, Yea, I have obeyed the voice of the Lord, and have gone the way which the Lord sent me, and have brought Agag, the king of Amalek, and have utterly destroyed the Amalekites.
So man, look, I did what you told me to do, man. Look, I brought the Lord sent me, I have brought Agag, the king of Amalek, and have utterly destroyed the Amalekites. So he said, I did what the Lord told me to do. I brought the king with me. I destroyed the Amalekites, but again, the king shouldn't have been there in the first place. And then he threw the people on the bus. It was the people who took of the sheep and the spoils. They did that. Read verse 22.
And Samuel said, Hath the Lord as great delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as in obeying the voice of the Lord? Behold, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to hearken than the fat of rams.
So he told him, man, look, your obedience to the Lord is better than sacrifice. Because other than like the Passover sacrifice and certain things for stuff, like if you weren't sinning, guess what? You would have to sacrifice nothing, right? The sacrifice, for the most part, outside of the ritualistic things, the sacrifice was there because you cut up, because you acted a fool. So the Lord is saying, man, look, behold, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to hearken or to listen than the fat of rams. You're much better being obedient than sitting here trying to offer up an animal. In this case, like Saul was doing. And thank God the Lord kind of put this in the forefront today, Because Hebrews would try it. I'm talking about would know what to do and be like, man, I got about 30 sheep. I can cut up tonight, do something crazy, right? More than likely. So what the Lord gonna do in 23?
For rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry.
So now look how the Lord is framing this. He says, for rebellion, or you kicking against the word, is as the sin of witchcraft. And the Lord also told you don't suffer a witch to live. You kill them. And the Lord likened that to you being rebellious. And then he said that stubbornness as iniquity and idolatry. So all these witchcraft and idolatry get you killed in the eyes of the Lord. And he likened that to you being rebellious and stubborn. What else did he say?
Because thou hast rejected the word of the Lord, he hath also rejected thee from being king.
So we see Saul given the kingdom, and we saw Saul had his kingdom rent from him.
Yes, sir.
And the Lord was responsible for both of those actions, right? Again, we see the Lord rules in the kingdom of men, or the Most High rules in the kingdom of men, and give it to whomsoever he will. And so he gave it to Saul, he took it from him. Let's go over to Luke 4. And the funny thing about those selecting presidents, like in any realm of life, if I had two brothers and both of them liars, I wouldn't fool with them. Or if I had two friends who I know were both-faced liars, I'm like, man, I ain't fooling with them cats, man. So now I got to pick between two people who are lying to me to vote and best run my country, best for me. Like, that don't make no sense. And then some people, you need to vote. Why? Well, our ancestors, they fought to vote. I'm like, okay, that's true. And then I'll be wanting to ask them, so since we started voting, right, what's gotten better? Still getting shot, still getting treated unfairly. Matter of fact, no one has laws to be able to wear the natural hair at the workplace. How is voting helping? Matter of fact, for something small like that, how is voting helping us? And guess what? The Democrats, they're gonna play the role. We're gonna help the poor Negro out. And as soon as they win, what do? Appreciate it. You about to be a Negro again, right? So Luke chapter 4, we're going to read verse 2 and then verse 5. Luke 4, verse 2 and then verse 5. Go ahead.
Being 40 days tempted of the devil, and in those days he did eat nothing, and when they were ended, he afterward hungered.
So we're looking at Jesus, and he was 40 days tempted of the devil. Skip down to verse 5 and read that.
And the devil, taking him up into an high mountain, showed unto him all the kingdoms of the world in a moment of time.
So I want you to pay attention to what Satan showed the Lord. He says he took him up to a high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world. So that would be the equivalent of me taking Brother Cam here. I'm like, hey, man, look at the Virgin Islands. Look at Germany. Look at Italy. Look at Spain. Look at Zimbabwe. I give you all that if you do what?
And the devil said unto him, all this power will I give thee, and the glory of them, for that is delivered unto me, and to whomsoever I will, I give it.
So, man, check that out. We understand that the Satan, he works for the Lord, but Satan's the one, when you really think about it, he's the one that is over the kings of all of these different kingdoms. Again, Trump. Man, Trump, Biden, Harris, Mussolini, all the rulers in Russia, the rulers in wherever. He's the one, Satan's the one that's I won't say giving them power, but he's the one that's ruling. It says, and the devil said unto him, all this power will I give thee, and the glory of them, for that is delivered unto me, and to whomsoever I will give it. And what did the Lord say? Verse 8. Verse 8.
And Jesus answered and said unto him, get thee behind me, Satan, for it is written, thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and him only shalt thou serve.
Exactly. So when you look at, again, how a lot of people get rich and fortuitous in this life, at some point in time, you're going to have to do something that's against your morals. And I'm not even saying, I ain't saying you got to blood oath or nothing like that, but when you look at, like, athletes, right? They more than likely they breaking the Sabbath, right? They breaking some form of commandment. You see stories all the time. This brother cheated on his wife, or this brother got caught doing this, or whatever it is. So to get great glory and great fame and great prestige and to rule kingdoms and whatnot, you gonna have to do something that goes against the Lord in some way, shape, or form. Let's go to Daniel 10. Daniel 10. But Daniel, he was praying for some understanding, and it took 21 days. And we're going to see why it took 21 days for Daniel to get the understanding he was looking for. So Daniel 10 and 11. Daniel 10 and verse 11. Go ahead.
And he said unto me, O Daniel, a man greatly beloved, understand the words that I speak unto thee, and stand upright, for unto thee am I now sent. And when he had spoken this word unto me, I stood trembling. Then said he unto me, Fear not, Daniel, for from the first day that thou didst set thine heart to understand and to chasten thyself before thy God, thy words were heard, and I am come for thy words.
So man, look, Daniel, from day one, we heard what you said, and we was on the way. So again, learning something on the way to learning something. When you pray, it don't happen right away, man, you gotta keep at it. Look at the parable of, I forgot the parable, but the unjust king, that lady kept coming to the unjust king. Can you avenge me? Can you avenge me? Can you avenge me? And eventually he said, you know what? I'm going to do it, right? So stay in that prayer. But also, this can be the issue as well. Keep reading.
13. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 1 days.
But he says the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days. So 21 days. So you telling me a man like me, this brother right here, is able to stop an angel? Nah, homie, that ain't what we talking about. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 20 days. But so we're talking about the devil who is operating behind the prince of Persia,
yes, sir,
or behind the president of the United States, or behind the ruler of Russia and whatnot. And that's kind of how it goes down. Keep reading.
But lo, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, and I remained there with the kings of Persia.
So when you look at Michael, right? Michael's usually the one that comes and deals with Satan. But we saying it called him the king of Persia, but ain't no Persian man about to stop no angel from doing anything. So we understand that it's the spirit behind this ruler, and you kind of see that same example in Ezekiel 28 behind the prince of Tyrus. And then it goes in and tells you what. That was in the Garden of Eden, so it takes it out the realm of it being a regular man. Go to Jeremiah 17. Jeremiah chapter 17. Again, understanding that the Most High, he rules in the kingdom of men and give it to whosoever he will. So you can count on the election, you can electoral college and all that stuff. Man, look, your vote don't matter. Like I say, if the Lord's will is to put Kanye West in office, then that's what it would be. And what would you do about it? Go ahead in verse 1. Jeremiah 17, verse 1.
The sin of Judah is written with the pen of iron, and with the point of a diamond. It is graven upon the table of their heart, and upon the horns of your altars.
So the Lord is saying, man, the sin of Judah is written with iron or diamond. These strong substances, as it's written in their heart or in their mind. So in other words, don't want to do right, can't get right, choose not to do right, don't care what thus saith the Lord. Skip down to verse 5 and read that.
Thus saith the Lord, Cursed be the man that trusteth in man, and maketh flesh his arm, and whose heart departeth from the Lord.
So the Lord is saying, man, look, in the grand scheme of it all, it says, cursed be the man that trusteth in man, and maketh flesh his arm, and whose heart departed from the Lord. So you depart from the Lord, you putting your trust in man. The Lord is saying cursed. So man, let me put my trust in Biden for what? Me put my trust in Trump for what? Me put my trust in any of these so-called leaders, like, for what? There's nothing they can do for me that God can't do. And I put my trust in one president one time out of ignorance, Obama, and I got nothing to show for it but Obama watch my granny gave me, and being saying I put the first black president. Oh, that's all I got for it. They don't do jack for me. What else?
Verse 6. For he shall be like the heath in the desert, and shall not see when good cometh, but shall inhabit the parched places in the wilderness, in a salt land, and not inhabit it.
So it says, man, look, you put your trust in man. It says you're going to be like a heath in the desert, and shall not see when good cometh, but shall inhabit the parched places in the wilderness, and the salt land not inhabited. So in other words, you putting your faith in man, it's not going to amount to anything. There's no beneficiary from that. But if you put your heart in the Lord, what?
Blessed is the man that trusteth in the Lord, and whose hope the Lord is.
So it says, blessed is the man that put his trust in the Lord. And that's why I love my brothers and sisters, man. I've been scrolling on Facebook, and they say, man, look, Jesus my king, or Jesus my Lord. I'm waiting for Jesus to come back. I ain't voting. I love seeing stuff like that because it shows you know who to believe in. Keep going.
For he shall be as a tree planted by the waters, and that spreadeth out her roots by the river, and shall not see when heat cometh, but her leaf shall be green, and shall not be careful in the year of drought, neither shall cease from yielding fruit.
So now, if you put your trust in the Lord, it's saying like for he shall be as a tree planted by the waters, and that spreadeth out her roots by the river. So you're gonna be like a tree that is consistently nourished because you're hosted or nested by a river, and you have a steady stream of nourishment coming in. So with that, God rules in the kingdom of men. I hope you got some understanding in Jesus' name.